This is Word on the Reef, where marine science meets adventure. Join Tanya Murphy and Goodban as we plunge into the wonders of the Great Barrier Reef and explore the mysteries beneath the waves. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Word on the Reef. My name is Tanya Murphy, and with me is my fellow aquanaut, Goodban. Good morning.
Yeah, good morning. How are you?
Yeah, really excited to be jumping into our first live radio show. And, you know, as we heard just a second ago, I have to comment on the weather. It is perfect diving weather at the moment.
So jealous.
Yeah, so according to the forecast, it's going to be less than 8 knots for today and the whole weekend. So, yeah, if you've got a boat or if you've got a way to head out there, it's going to be a perfect weekend for getting out for some diving. But I think part of the reason why we're having this perfect diving weather up here in far north Queensland is because there is Cyclone Alfred pulling all of the wind away to the southeast Queensland. So, yeah, our thoughts go out to all those people in southeast Queensland who are getting ready for a Category 2 cyclone, the first cyclone to head that far south in 50 years. But it's really important to highlight the immense size of Queensland, because whenever there's a cyclone anywhere in Queensland, my friends in tourism say, our international tourists are calling up and asking if they're going to get a refund on their reef trip because they've heard there's a cyclone in Queensland. Little do they know that Queensland, it's the distance from far north Queensland down to southeast Queensland is further than from the UK to Russia or from Mexico to Canada, actually. So up here, we have perfect diving weather at the moment, so get on up here. I was lucky enough to go snorkeling and paddleboarding at Low Isles off Port Douglas on Monday, and the weather was perfect. It was flat, calm like a pond. It was so calm, we went paddleboarding around Woody Island, which is the outer island of the Low Isles. So it's just a half an hour boat off of Port Douglas to these beautiful islands, and there was turtles everywhere, sharks. We were actually there with a marine cleanup group called Parlay for the Oceans. We picked up many kilograms of marine debris, some ghost fishing nets out of the ocean, but we also saw a lot of turtles and marine life and rays. So it was a really amazing. It is a really amazing time to come and visit the reef. So get out there this weekend if you can. And one of the people there that day said that the perfect place to be for diving or fishing or whatever you're going to go out and do is on the top left of a cyclone. Have you ever heard that, Brett?
Yeah, definitely. So obviously in the southern hemisphere, they spin clockwise. So if the cyclone's above your location, then you're going to cop it. Yeah, it is important for us to send all of our North Queensland thoughts to our southern Brizzy neighbours. We're just as surprised as you that this thing's going to turn up on your doorstep. We wouldn't have seen that happening. And as you said, over 50 years ago that's happened. But we feel for them, because we know that if you're not used to cyclones, it can be completely exhausting for the days ahead. We're hearing a lot of our Brisbane residents saying that they wish it would just turn up, but unfortunately it doesn't have a train timetable. Cyclones have their own thought process, and they'll turn up when they're ready. The best thing for you to do is just make sure that you are prepared, relax and sit it out, and then everyone will be ready for it. But yeah, anywhere south of a cyclone will definitely cop the worst of it.
Yeah, because of the way that it spins, and because we're in the north, we're in the place where we have good weather. But yeah, definitely thoughts going out to everyone in southeast Queensland. But I bet there's going to be non-stop commentary about Alfred on the radio over the coming days. So today we're going to be focusing on the marine world and the Great Barrier Reef. We do have a text line. It's our first show though, and we had a technical issue with the text line for today, but we'll get that up and running for next week. So you'll be able to text us in questions. If you text any today, we just won't be able to see them until next week's show, and then we'll do our best to answer them when we have a chance. So yeah, we're super excited doing our debut show for Word on the Reef on Cairns FM Community Radio. And over the coming weeks, we'll have a ton of awesome guests lined up to share with us their incredible stories of marine science and conservation on the Great Barrier Reef. But for this, the first show, we thought we'd just do a bit of an introduction of ourselves and talk a bit about our experiences on the reef, because we have spent quite a bit of time on the Great Barrier Reef between us, haven't we?
Yep.
So I think when we add together our experience, we've got more than 30 years diving experience between us and have done over 20,000 dives.
Yeah, our underwater home.
Yeah.
It's so exciting though, isn't it, that our fish and the reef can have another voice now.
Absolutely, and I'm pretty sure if there was a way to broadcast this show from underwater, we would definitely be doing it.
Yeah, we'd cross to Wally and Nemo for sure.
We'll figure out a way, guys.
Yeah, we will.
So now in terms of my story, to sort of introduce your hosts, well first, like, just to give you a bit of a look ahead to what is going to be on the show today, some of the topics that you'll be able to hear about is how we'll hear a bit about Brett's interesting superhero origin story.
Oh, crikey.
You know, like all the superheroes go through some kind of very sometimes traumatic experience to become a superhero and gain their magical powers. And we'll be able to find out, you know, how Brett basically came back from the dead, from a, you know, near-death experience. And it's not what you think, since it's a diving show. Everyone's probably thinking, oh my goodness.
Yeah, don't panic, guys. It's not from the ocean.
And how that sort of brought him to where he is today, and maybe just some tips on how to befriend fish, because Brett is quite famous for being really good friends with fish. Like, you know, how can you make sure that marine life wants to swim over to you and say hi because it loves you so much?
Yeah.
So we'll find out some of those things. But just to sort of introduce myself, I actually came from a tiny landlocked farming town in Western Australia, which was very far from the ocean. But my first time snorkeling was in Hawaii when I was 6, and I was always hooked on going on ocean-related holidays, and I always had a fascination with marine life. And I was thinking back on this fascination, and when I was 11, I actually wrote a poem about a stingray that won me a WA Junior Writing Prize.
Oh, wow, that's awesome.
Yeah. So I haven't got it written down, but I can remember it, and it's very short. Do you want to hear it?
Oh, let's go. For sure.
It's a bit embarrassing,
No,
11-year-old me. Okay. I was swimming in the sea when I saw in front of me a ferocious, scary, slimy thing with a most unpleasant sting. I said, "Oh, what shall I do? Nothing's quite so gross as you." It said, "Sorry, but I fear you're the gross one around here. For example, take your limbs. They're not as pretty as my fins. And what are those ugly, dangly things that hang around your head like strings?" So I think it's plain to see that you're the ugly one, not me. Now, my friend, I wish you good day. This is my beach, so go away. So I was at age 11, really getting into that theme of when you go in the ocean, we are the aliens.
Absolutely.
We are the ones stepping into their home.
Yep.
And not to view us as humans as superior to the magnificence of nature, basically.
I really like that.
Thank you.
I can just hear this applause from through the window of everyone in their cars.
Oh, we didn't prepare our canned applause track.
No, we have to get one of those, definitely.
So I studied journalism at university, worked as a journalist for a number of years, but then I went on holidays to Cairns and did my open water diving course with ProDive, actually,
Nice.
And it just changed my life.
That'll do it.
Story of many people's lives. You know,
absolutely.
be careful. If you plan a holiday to Cairns, you just might never go back to your serious career ever again. So, yeah, it became absolutely hooked. After a little bit of time, I ended up coming back to Cairns and doing my dive master and dive instructor training with Cairns Dive Centre. Sadly closed down now, but it was a really major player for many years. They had a liveaboard boat, they had a couple of day boats. We also dived off Fitzroy Island, so I got to experience an incredible array of amazing diving with the liveaboard boat, the one where people stay overnight. I think the longest stint I did was about 20 days straight on the liveaboard, but that's no kind of record. I know people have done much longer. How about you, Brett?
Yeah, I've done a lot longer than that. And then when you get to land and you try and do your shopping and you're swaying in the shopping queue because you've been rocking around for months out on the water.
Yeah, it happens when you get inside the shower. It's an enclosed space, and then you feel like you're back at sea.
Land sickness is a thing.
It really is. So we were just introducing ourselves as the hosts of Word on the Reef, our new show, first time on air today. I just explained that I did my dive master and dive instructing training in Cairns, and then next minute I had been working on the Great Barrier Reef for 13 years.
Yeah, it happens, doesn't it?
Goes by
It does.
quite fast when you're underwater. Time does things differently down there. So it was absolutely the best life decision ever to spend 13 years of my life on the reef.
Yeah.
And I still get out there a lot. But over that 13 years I did witness quite a lot of environmental impacts on the reef, coral bleaching, water pollution, and things like that. So the reef's still an incredible place, but I wanted to be able to do something to give back to this reef that had done so much for me and so many people. So I started volunteering quite a lot in marine conservation for a number of years, and now I work in marine conservation. So that's pretty much my villain origin story. I wasn't going to call myself a hero. So with that range of experience, you know, being a diver on the reef, being in marine conservation and having a journalism background, it just made sense to start a show about the Great Barrier Reef, really. And the podcast started out online, but this year it was my goal to bring the podcast to real airwaves on Cairns FM. And thankfully the volunteers here have been absolutely welcoming and so amazing in making that dream a reality. So special shout out to Tom, the sound engineer, who trained us up and produced our amazing promo track. What did you guys think about it? It sounds pretty schmick.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, our jaws were on the floor when we heard Tom's work the other day. So if you have ever dreamed of starting a radio show, get into Cairns FM. They are looking for more volunteers to get involved. So if you've got something that you want to talk about, life's short, start a radio show. Why not?
Why not?
So that's how Word on the Reef radio show came to be, and it will be live on air every Friday at 10 a.m. for the foreseeable future. I don't think we're going to run out of things to talk about anytime soon.
Not while I'm here.
And if you don't have a wireless, you can stream it at cairnsfm891.org.au. And if you can't catch it live, we will still be recording every episode and uploading it to all our existing Word on the Reef podcast platforms. So no excuses to miss it, really.
No, we got every avenue covered, haven't we?
Yeah. So enough about me. What about you, Brett?
Oh, goodness.
I've given the listeners a little bit of a teaser. If you stick around, you're going to hear the most incredible true story, because Brett actually shouldn't be sitting here today. Over the relatively short time since I've met you, I've learned about probably actually at least 3 occasions where you could have died.
Oh, goodness, yeah. I've overtaken a cat, I think. I've got more than 9 lives. So I guess to start in the beginning, the diving thing. I'm pretty sure that every diver out there that's listening to this can remember their first time that they ever knelt on the sand on the Great Barrier Reef. It's just that overwhelming feeling of, I'm home.
Oh my goodness, I had that exact feeling
Isn't
on my
it?
first dive.
It's just like you look at your dive gauge and you go, oh no, I've got to come up. No, please can I grow gills? And I was offered a dive in the late 90s with Quicksilver. I was living in Cairns. Like you, I'm a West Aussie, grew up around the ocean, just loved the ocean. Anywho, so did my first dive with Quicksilver, and then from that point I thought, this is where I need to be. This is where I want to be. So, like you, back then, the Dive Master traineeships were massive, but I did mine with Down Under Dive and spent over 1.5 years on, if anyone can remember, the good old Atlantic Clipper out there at Norman, Saxon and Hastings, and did a lot of dishes and scrubbed a lot of boats, did my dives in between, popped out the other end and was an instructor and decided that that's not what I wanted to do. That's not why I signed up. And I picked up a video camera. Gosh, show them age now. Back then we were starting to film underwater, and take photos was coming into it as well. So I did that for over a decade. I've filmed the shark dives at Osprey Reef. I've filmed at Green Island. I've done tens of thousands of dives. But unfortunately, the stars aligned for me not to be able to get underwater in my home anymore. So that was a bit rough.
Yeah. So yeah, I've got a couple more questions before we go into that part, because I know that where it all started for you, I think, is that you've always been an animal person from a young age.
Yeah, just love it. Yep.
And yeah, like as you said, started your Great Barrier Reef journey in the way that many of us do, humbly washing dishes and scrubbing the decks on board a liveaboard boat. I remember those. Like 17-hour days.
Oh, they were hard.
Getting ready for the morning dive, 8 p.m, finishing off the night dive. And yeah, just the most incredible experience.
I think
of my
life. Made that era of divers, I think, made some really, really good dive crews, because we worked so hard, didn't we, to have the privilege of being able to do that. So we really appreciated the privilege, which is what it is, to be underwater with them.
Yeah, yeah. So many amazing friends from around the world because people come from all over the world to work on the Great Barrier Reef.
Oh, yeah.
So
Met some incredible people.
Yeah, and the other thing that I miss about it was showing my age a bit here, but I only had a brick phone back then. Smartphones were invented, mind you, but I just didn't upgrade for ages to the last minute. And there was little to no phone coverage on the reefs that we went to. So when I was doing those 12 days plus stints, none of the angst that we've got going on at the world at the moment, like with everything that's going on at the moment, I just really wish that I could go out on a boat for 20 days where there's no internet. I think it's the best. It was the best thing for everyone's well-being.
Oh, yeah. Wasn't it magical? Just sitting on the deck watching the sunset and thinking, I'm actually getting paid for this.
Yeah, so I think we might have convinced every person listening to go and sign up to do their dive master traineeship.
Blow some bubbles for sure.
So yeah, you spent many years working on the dive boat. You must have seen many incredible things, which is why it's going to be good that we have probably several years of radio shows up our sleeves
definitely.
to talk about. But I feel like one of your special talents is befriending the marine animals. They just love you, don't they?
Yeah, I don't know whether it's just the bald head and I look like a fish. I'm not quite sure. But I think it's also just showing them the respect that they deserve and showing the reef the respect that it deserves. And if you're in there every single day, as you know, you start to recognise a few fish that will come over that are a little bit more friendly than others and all of a sudden decide that you're going to be their dive buddy, whether you like it or not. And they're waiting for you when you get down there. And this is something that people get stuck in their head, is that someone said that all fish are like goldfish and have a 2-second memory. Well, I can tell you there's a wanted poster for that person underwater out there because the fish just can't wait to meet them. It's not true. You know, just because they're hiding under the water doesn't mean they're any less intelligent than any land animal. They're amazing. And when you make that connection, it's something very magical.
Yeah, that's true. Fish can tell the time. They know.
Oh, they know when food's coming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're like, 3:00.
Yep, that's right.
Yes. Should mention to everyone that you should never feed human food to the fish or feed the fish in the marine park. There's just a few
absolutely not.
licensed operators that have a special permit to feed them special fish food in a very small amount. But yes, the fish know when that time has come around.
Yep.
They also recognise their favourite people. So there could be 20 divers in the water and they won't be interested in the tourist that just is there for the first time necessarily. They might be, but they're very interested in their favourite friend.
Yeah.
Like
you have to earn their respect.
Yeah. But, if you're a tourist and you're going with one of those experienced divers, then you'll get to experience that too. But yeah, tell us, like you had names for your favourite fish and everything.
Yeah.
Tell us some of your closest animal friends when you were diving out on the reef.
Look, I don't think it's any surprise for anyone that's been diving out there full time that Wally or Elvis, the giant humphead Mary wrasse that we have out there, is like a giant Labrador. And after doing thousands of dives in the same spot, the big guy, there was a big guy that used to live at Norman Reef. He used to hop between the Great Adventures pontoon and us and move around. But yeah, he just decided that I was going to be his dive buddy. Mm-hmm. And we did thousands of dives together. And he would sit just under my right shoulder. If I was trying to take photographs, he would come around in front of me to try and get in the shot, or he'd pull my dive mask off my face. He just turned into this giant Labrador pest. And you think, how does a fish do this? But, the humphead Mary wrasse is a very special animal because they do have the ability to recognise or sense a certain person for up to 5 years. So they are a very intelligent fish. But it was always funny to see that Mary wrasse reject some people that he didn't like the look of, and that always used to crack me up. I mean, how does he do that? Luckily he loved me. So yeah, I've got lots of photos of him on the wall at home, definitely.
I bet you miss your buddy.
I do. Yeah,
he probably misses you too. But like, some of the animals are so cheeky as well. Didn't you tell me a story about was it a mantis shrimp that was messing with you?
Yeah, a little mantis shrimp. So part of my job back then in filming, being commercial diving, is I could dive solo, and that gave me the ability to go and film whatever I wanted to film, whenever I wanted to film it. And I used to go down and visit this little mantis shrimp. If anyone doesn't know what a mantis shrimp is, it's this really cool little shrimp that has these little feathers out the front and eyes that rotate. It kind of sounds a bit alien, doesn't it? But his real party trick is he has this little arm in his chest that I think, has the same velocity as a .22 caliber bullet. So he'll punch his dinner as it goes past, right? A little fish swims past, whack, dead.
Yeah, apparently they can smash their way out of aquariums.
Yeah. We actually had one at the aquarium here in Cairns, and you could, every now and then you could just hear this little tink as he was punching rocks as he was swimming around. And I used to go and visit him every afternoon. I'd just go down and sit in this bommy that I could get good footage out of. And I used to have a little plastic rubber crocodile thingy that I used to use as part of the open water videos as a bit of fun. And I had it sort of in front of him filming them together, and he decided that he stole my crocodile and he shot it down the hole, and I sat there thinking, crikey, what am I going to do now? He's got my crocodile. I need to get it back. I don't want him chewing on it. And anyway, I sat there for a bit thinking, I don't know what I'm going to do next. And then I felt this thing hit the back of my leg, and I looked back and he dragged it right underneath me through his tunnel, and he popped it out near my foot. So the crocodile sitting behind me has come back to his hole, popped out the hole and started shooting his bullet at me like, come on, champ. I know that's not real. I think that half the stuff that we see underwater we keep to ourselves, because unless you've actually experienced it, people just look at you and think, mate, you're a nutter. You've got to see it to believe it. It's incredible. It's a whole world down there.
So we've been talking a lot about our origin stories on the reef and how it changed our lives. But Brett, your dream life diving on the reef was about to come to a devastating halt in 2014.
Yeah, unfortunately.
I can tell that you're still...
Yeah.
It affects you now when I mention it. So can you tell us what happened?
Yeah, so briefly, back in 2014, I was in Japan with the family for a Christmas holiday, but the stars didn't align for me, unfortunately, and I got sick and contracted viral pneumonia that led to some other awful issues with my body. Ended up they put me in an induced coma in Tokyo because I was so sick, with a few other issues, and then was flown on ECMO. I could remember what that says. It's a big long word. Someone will have to look it up. ECMO life support. Basically, they put you on it to give your heart a chance to rest. Care flight at the time that I think now is called Life Flight. Care flight flew to Japan with a private jet and flew me back to Australia in an induced coma for life-saving surgery. Arrived back in Brisbane at Prince Charles, and the incredible doctors down there did absolutely everything that they could to try and save me. But my body had other ideas. It kept fighting back, and I kept fighting back. And I was in induced coma for about 6 weeks, I think, but it was a long time after that before I actually was brought out of the coma. And the issue for me was that once you have open heart surgery and your chest is cracked, your dive career is done. The pressure's just too much. So that was it. I was taking a little bit of a break out of the water at the time that I got sick, trying to pursue my other passion, which was learning to fly and working in aviation a little bit as well. So it must be something about land. I either want to be above it or under it. So, and with that not being able to dive anymore, I've still got the same sick heart in me at the moment, which is causing me a few little issues that I'm dealing with. But I'm living life to the fullest, and the ocean gods had lined up and said, we're not done with you yet. If you can't dive, we have the next best thing for you. And that was when the Cairns Aquarium was being built. And I've been there since opening day, which is over 7.5 years now. The education manager and trainer. So I train up all the presenters and do all the shark shows and teach about corals so I can be underwater, but not being able to dive. But I miss it.
Yeah.
I miss it a lot.
It is an absolute blessing that you're still here with us today. I understand that you're a bit of a miracle man in the medical community.
Apparently. Yeah, you sort of it gets a bit much after a while when people look at you like you're a ghost. There is just a lot of things that don't make sense. Usually when you tell people about my story and they look at me, they just go, well, that doesn't work, that doesn't match up. But, I popped out the other end of it for a reason. I have 3 beautiful kids and I've got some incredible friends, and I can still talk about fish every day, and now I get to do a radio show with you, so life's good.
I mean, obviously this is the highlight.
Oh, yeah, of course.
But, I mean, well, we are here to talk about the reef, but I'm sure a lot of people are curious. I mean, you started a support group after you came back out of your coma. Yeah.
So there was just a little bit of a help for me. And I guess the hardest thing for me was being told by my doctors after I got sick that, that's it. you won't work again. This is you. And if anyone knows me, I don't sit still for 5 seconds. That wasn't going to happen. So once I'd got back to the aquarium and started moving, I decided to reach out to people that may have known someone that was in an induced coma. There's this significant difference between an induced coma and a natural coma. Anyone who's been through an induced coma, I'm sorry if this brings up any awful memories, but I did offer a support group for people. So I was talking to families through Facebook Messenger at all hours of the night who may have had a family member that was in an induced coma to teach them how to act around that person while they're there, because we do hear in a different way.
Yeah, because you were basically conscious for the whole 6 weeks.
Yeah, so the induced coma is basically just giving you enough medication to keep you asleep, but your mind is still hearing. You're still getting a routine, but it's not in the reality that you would have if you were awake. So it will start painting a picture of what's going on in that room, either good or bad. So it's really important for people to remember to act responsibly around someone who's going through it. And it really helped. People were really thankful for that help and that advice from someone who's been through it. I also helped the Prince Charles in advising them on a ICU bay for people that come out of an induced coma to make it a little bit not quite as terrifying, changing up their system. So that helped me heal as well before I started working back at the aquarium. Yeah.
Scary experience. And like you told me that the doctor comes in and opens your eye every day to check your reflexes, and then there's these bright fluorescent lights shining in your face.
That's right. And I guess that was the really freaky part about it, is that I knew who my surgeon was. I knew what he looked like, and I had never met him because I was put in induced coma in Tokyo, and I came out of it in Brisbane. And I couldn't work out why. And even my sister, who's my best mate, who hopefully is listening, impressed, she put a big Australia flag up in my room while I was in a coma, because she knew that Australia Day was pretty special and we used to have a barbie and stuff. And she put it up. She took it down before I actually woke up. And then apparently at some point after I'd woke up, I thanked her for putting it on the wall. And it was this big freak out moment of, how did you know that? But then I found out that when they reduce the medication, they open your eyes to see if you have any brain function. They check your pupils. And when at that point, then they open your eyes see what's going on in the room, and they put it into the nightmare or whatever you're having. So, and that's really important for people to understand why they should act around them,
Yeah, so, but wasn't there a point where they were almost thinking, like discussing about to switch off your life support because they didn't know if you were ever going to wake up?
Yeah, there was quite a few. And I think that's the important message for people, that just because the person's laying there asleep, they're still a human and they're still fighting. Yeah, so there's been a few challenges. I'm going through a couple again now. It just seems to be ongoing. But we put a big smile on our face and take a big deep breath and, doing the job that I'm doing now, where I can be with the fish. I have customers walk past me all the time and they'll walk up to me and go, "Were you just talking to that fish?" And I look at them and they're like, "Well, yeah. Were you not talking to them?" To us, it's normal.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's and that's a very special place to be.
Yes.
And that's why this show is going to be so good, is that we can connect with our fellow bubble blowers, and we can teach people about how important it is to protect that gift that we have off the coast. Because wasn't it said, David Attenborough said that the biggest mistake we ever made as a human was thinking that we own the planet?
Yeah.
Right? And the Great Barrier Reef is the greatest gift that Mother Nature's given the human species, and we need to be very proud of that.
Absolutely. I mean, it's something that inspires us so much and has obviously given you your lease on life.
Yeah.
So how did you actually end up at the Cairns Aquarium?
Well, I knew it was being built, but I deliberately didn't go anywhere near town that whole time because I knew I couldn't dive again. I was told I couldn't work, and I thought I really want to work at this place. So I actually didn't see it getting built, and I'd left it too late. And then I'd been to my doctor again, and my doctor had said, "Look, Brett, if you don't get moving, you've put on all this weight, you got to get moving, mate, and you're not going to be around for another year." And I thought, okay, well, I better get cracking. So I went on to Seek when I got home, and the only position left at the aquarium was doing photography, and I thought, well, I've done it underwater, how hard can it be on land? And that was get my foot in the door.
Mm-hmm.
And then the aquarium knew of me, they knew who I was, they knew I could talk underwater, so they thought, right, we've got to get this guy. And that's how I ended up sneaking in through the door. And yeah, one of the originals left now. I just love it.
Mm-hmm.
Just love it. You get to stand in front of, hundreds of people every day and teach them about what you love and change their perspective on it. That's really important.
Absolutely. And you have names for a lot of the fish at the aquarium, don't you?
Yeah. I'm sure that some of my incredible staff are listening to this laughing right now. Yeah, we do.
Well, who's your favourite character at the aquarium?
Oh, look, just as well they can't listen to the radio in the water because they're all going to go, I'm his favourite.
Oh, yeah.
Look, I have to go Chang. Anyone who's listening to this, and hopefully it's most of Cairns, have been to the Cairns Aquarium, which I'm sure you all have because you're all amazing, will know Chang. He's our giant Queensland groper. He's got a lot of fishitude, that one. Oh, he's judgy. He's a judgy fish. He'll give you the side eye if you don't show him any attention. Such a magnificent fish. You would have come across Queensland gropers out there. They're just enormous. They can grow to 700 kilos. But there's Happy Gilmore, there's Chang. I've got Wayne, the clean wrasse. We've got all our sea stars that have names. Trevor, the gang. I know. See, to me, that's just normal. And people will come up to the touch tank and I'll say to them, look, you can touch the shells and you can touch Trevor. And they look at you and go, who's Trevor? Oh, sorry, the sea star? And they look at you and go, right, yeah, we knew who Trevor was, obviously. It's just normal.
Yeah, we're here with Brett, who's the education manager at the Cairns Aquarium, a fabulous facility that we're lucky enough to have here in Cairns. Brett, what do you think is the value of having an aquarium in Cairns? It was only built 7-8 years ago.
Yes.
A bit of community, opinions about it when it was first built, since we do have the actual reef off our doorstep. What do you think is the value of having an aquarium in Cairns?
Yeah, this is a big question that we do get a lot, and I'm actually glad people ask it at work. And my answer to that is that 70% of our planet is ocean. We're an ocean planet. And the most important ecosystem that we have on the planet is hidden underwater. We have this issue as humans of out of sight, out of mind. If we can't see it, it's not a problem, right? So when they're done properly, which we have done at the Cairns Aquarium, it's a gorgeous facility, is where we're bringing them up to face value. And the information that our guests can get through the education shows that we have changes people's opinion. And I see it every day through the shows that we do, because we see ourselves as the voice of the voiceless, right? Someone needs to be their advocate, like we are, like all of our tens of thousands of dive colleagues that will come back from a week and sit at the pier bar like we always used to and tell anyone that will listen just how incredible that reef is. And we do that every day. The team that we have of educators are incredible, because you can't fake the passion. People can see that in you. They can see that excitement as well. And it's just something I'd like to mention also, even though we've been open for 7.5 years, I do believe that we've had over 2 million guests come through the door in that time.
Wow.
Which is massive. And the seismic shift in the way that people are seeing the environment from when we first opened, from our very first shows to now, is really positive. And people say, do we need this here? We've got the reef, we've got the rainforest. But our response to that is that the Cairns Aquarium is not there to replace that. The Cairns Aquarium is giving everybody the opportunity, the elderly, disabled customers that might not be able to go out to the reef or go through a hot rainforest, give them the ability to visit. If they've come from the reef or the rainforest, hopefully we can answer some questions. Or if they're going to go out there, we can give them all the information that they need to not only enjoy it but protect it as well. That's really important.
Absolutely. They're really fabulous shows, very highly trained educators, and you've got a really stringent selection process of the educators at the aquarium. Yeah,
you could have someone that come in that's got 20 years of a degree, but if they're not going to connect, you've got to have the whole package, right? One of the other bonuses that we do at the Cairns Aquarium is we actually do school groups. So we have their from preppies up to year 12s, and it's part of the curriculum. So they'll spend 2 hours with one of our educators, and we take them on a tour with the book. And something that is actually making me feel really, really proud of what we do is the information and the knowledge that this next generation have. I can see that in them. Like I was telling you before the show, I had a little group yesterday, or a lot of them actually, little year 3s, little legends, and asking them these questions, like questions that you would ask a year 11 or year 12 or even an adult customer. You ask them this question, they just come out with these answers. And I was just sitting there completely stunned at these kids yesterday. And I said, how do you know that? And they went, oh, we read a book or we watched this. And I said, did you learn any of that from here? And they said, yeah, we've come in with mum and dad and we've listened to your shows or the team's shows. And I just had this I just smile on my face like a split watermelon.
Yeah, it's so rewarding.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so you've had, you've actually had, kids that know your talk so well or have learned the information so well over the years of visiting the aquarium that you've actually had at least one where you've let them get up and do talks, haven't you?
Yeah, we have. We've got a real success story. We got a young man, I won't mention him over the air, but he's a little local and he'd been coming in quite a lot as an annual pass holder and asking questions and said, when I get to year 10, can I do work experience? He said, yeah. And now I've just signed him off for 2 shows to do at the Cairns Aquarium and see him standing in front of customers. And that's why we do what we do. It's passing the baton on.
Inspiring the next generation.
That's it. Yeah.
And any generation, people might visit the reef for the first time at an older age and learn things that they never knew before. You're getting a lot of people coming in with lifelong misconceptions that you actually change their lives on.
Yeah, all the time.
Yeah.
All the time. And you get, and that's really nice, is that, a lot of our elderly customers will come up to us and they'll say, thank you so much for not only giving me that information, but just giving us the correct story, just letting us know the real story and changing our perception on it all.
Yeah.
And that's really rewarding for us. That's why we do what we do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I see the value of the aquarium very highly now, having worked on boats that go to the reef for 13 years. I've given many marine talk on the boats, but I did find that on the boat the schedule is so hectic and the day is so tiring. When you go out to the reef, which all of 100% of listeners should do if you haven't already, and if you have, go again. But yeah, when you go out to the reef, it's a very big day. On the way out, you've got safety briefs, the snorkel brief, the dive brief. You're running around, or swimming around all day in the sun. Ready. Yeah, on the way home, everyone falls asleep. Yeah, it's such a big day. Yeah. And so I found when I'm giving my marine science talks on the boat, it's really hard for people to make it to listen to that, or you don't have as much time with them for everyone to ask their questions. Yep. So I really hope that they can either go to the aquarium as a precursor to their reef visit so they can learn everything that they're about to see when they go out there, because you will see a lot more on the reef when you know what to look for. So if you want to maximise your day at the Great Barrier Reef, making sure you learn how to spot things. Otherwise, you can see people just kind of swimming around and swimming right past stuff because they don't know.
Right. It gives them the full package.
Yeah.
It gives them another option as well. They can go out. And that happens where people come up and go, I was on the reef yesterday and I saw this fish that was swimming to the left only and it had 6 fins and it might have been blue, but I think it was red. I'm not quite sure. But I'm sure it had 4 eyes. What was it? And you go, I just come up with anything. Like North Queensland triple-eyed fish. It's very rare. You're really lucky to have seen it. And that happens a lot. I've got a photo of it, but I deleted it. Cool. That's going to help.
No, they say, I got a photo of it, and then they show you this like super blurry blue,
mostly their foot with a fin with a boat in the background. So I just pick any fish at the aquarium. Did it look like that one? Yeah, okay, that's a clownfish. Yeah.
Don't actually have 6 fins and 3 eyes, but
no, not really.
The water can bend light like that. Wow, so we're almost towards the end. We've got like 3.5 minutes left till the news in the next hour. So I hope everyone listening has enjoyed hearing about our new show and a bit about us and Brett's superhero origin story and how he got his aquarium superpowers. And we are going to be diving in with special guests in the coming weeks. Yeah,
that's going to be awesome.
So we've got a whole list of, A-list celebrity scientists and conservationists and so on.
And we'll have the text line up for next week.
Yes, we'll have the text line ready for next week. If you would like to text us any questions for us or the guests that we have on. And also, happy International Women's Day.
Yes, it's International Women's Day tomorrow. All of the amazing mums and ladies out there, and thank you for all the work that you do.
Yeah, big shout out to all the amazing women out there on the reef and in marine science and in the conservation space as well. And hopefully there's a whole bunch of women out there that are going to treat themselves with a trip to the reef on this amazing weather this weekend. So be sure to tune in to join us again on Cairns FM 89.1 to listen to the show next Friday at 10. And you can also find the recordings available online after every show. Just search for Word on the Reef on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube, and wherever else you get your podcasts. And also, we have an Instagram, so don't forget to follow us on Instagram.com/Word on the Reef podcast.
And once again, stay safe, Brizzy. We know what you're going through.
Yeah. We also want to thank again the Cairns FM volunteer crew for the amazing training and welcoming us aboard onto the airwaves. Yeah, if you've got any feedback, send us a message on Instagram or text the text line once we get it up and running. And we look forward to chatting with you again next week.